Hi, everyone, and welcome once again to episode 14. I mean, wow, this is fantastic. We really appreciate your watching us and following us, and I'm hoping that you're enjoying this as much as we are. Today, we have our hosts, as normal, Sandy Gulliver.
You're the host, Daryl.
Oh, right. Okay. We're all hostess.
See
What
how
can I say?
casual we are? Yeah, right.
Okay. And Sandra Baskin, who is in her frozen state still, but she'll explain why.
Well, hello. I think it's a headshot, not a frozen state, but
Okay.
nonetheless, I had some corrective eye surgery done last week, which is why I was not on the show. And I got a bunch of bruises, and you can just imagine, and nobody wants to see that. So, consequently, the headshot this week.
Yes. And today we are here with Keith Kelly, who is a very good friend of all of ours. I first met Keith, I believe, at a Chicago actors group that we both belong to. And he has done some work for me besides being a very good friend and just a fellow actor. And today we're going to be talking about self tapes and a bunch of other things. And I think that everybody will get something out of this because not only is it just for actors who want to self tape, but it's also for learning how to be on Zoom and how to manipulate your little area to get the most out of it. And unfortunately, today I'm in an area that I shouldn't be in, but my computer decided not to, it was unstable today. So I am now back in my office, which does not have proper lighting, but you can see how not to light yourself.
You're not too
So
bad at all, Daryl. Yeah, really.
okay. All right. So this is what we're doing. But Keith is, I'll use the term maven because that's the one that I'm most comfortable with, is a maven on everything there is about self taping and setting up your studio and having proper lighting. And what I'm really interested in is where his teleprompter is because I sometimes find that I would really love that. And so here we go. Keith, take
Hey,
it away.
Hi, Keith. Welcome.
thank you.
Keith.
Thank you all for having me. It's great being in the presence of great friends like you all.
Ah, you're too sweet. So talk to us about here. How about we start with this? You do more things. We'll get to your self-taping in your studio, but you do more things than just this. So if you would like to tell us about your career, I think that'd be a super idea.
Sure. Besides acting, which I've been back at acting now for a little over 7 years, my day job is in production. I have my own video production company called Innovative Communications, which this year is 31 years.
Oh,
31 years. Yeah,
holy cow.
so a long time. And because of it's not just filming people, it's coming up with concepts, writing, directing, a whole bunch of things, all with a real story basis with what I do for businesses. I don't call myself a videographer. I've never really liked that term anyways. For me, videographer sounds like Uncle Charlie with a satin windbreaker going, hey, look here and smile and wave, so I've never liked that term, but I call myself a business story coach because everything that I do for my clients is really story-based, authentic, real, and not selly, pushy marketing kinds of stuff. It's more revealing the heart and soul of a company. So I've been doing this, for forever, for now about half of my life. And it's, as an actor, it's a really good thing to get familiar on the other side of the camera because that really helps inform me as an actor when I'm on camera, knowing what the particulars that the production people are looking for.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
they both really help each other. And I've also learned how to, like when I get to actually direct actors and actresses, that's a real present for me because I usually get to, many videos are non-actors using the real people in the companies. And it can be hard getting performances out of non-actors because most people, unlike us, we're sort of masochists for wanting to be on camera. But as you know, most of our friends and neighbors would rather have sharp pencils stuck in their eyeballs than be on camera. You know,
Too
so
true.
I've learned also because of that, to write for non-actors, and one of the things that helps them a lot if it's something scripted, because forget asking them to memorize something, they might work on it, but then they get that red light on the camera and all the brain cells go flowing out the ears. So teleprompter is one thing that I use for those people when they need a little extra help. And the nice thing too about my business is I've never had a storefront. It's always been a home-based business. So, which made house hunting. We've been in this house now for over 25 years in Naperville, Illinois. And one thing I needed was a full basement, a full finished basement, because my studio is all in the basement. So I've got a full green screen studio in my basement, fully acoustically treated and lit and good sound and all those kinds of things. And I love the commute. You know, it's nothing better than down the stairs. Yeah.
I've been in Keith's wonderful studio, and it's perfect for him. And you just reminded me, since I've been a long time realtor, I once had a couple. The gentleman bought the house because of the basement, because he was a woodworker. He couldn't have possibly cared less about the rest of the house. Sure, certain things can be important to you.
Yeah, and realtors kept trying to show a fourth bedroom. It's like, no, that won't work, because there's a window there and a window there. There's a closet there and there's a door over there. You've already lost half the room as far as what I need to do with the space. So
You weren't working with me. I wouldn't have done that to you because I already knew how important a basement could be.
yeah,
Anyway, that's quite a career.
yeah. And I actually started doing self-tapes before I got back into acting. And that was one of the many little reasons where I decided to get back into it. Took a break in acting. I've been acting the whole time I've had my own business, but took a break. Thought it was going to be a little break for a while, as my wife and I went to start a family, and that ended up being a 10-year odyssey with no kids at the end of it, with the last 5 years trying to adopt. And there's a movie in there that I'm going to be writing someday soon about not just my experience, but other people's experience. And I know Sandy heard in your last show your involvement in that whole world, so you know a little bit about what that's like. And so when I was doing that, I really couldn't concentrate on acting.
I bet.
Just wasn't in the right headspace for all that. And but once we decided we couldn't take it any longer, emotionally, monetarily, all the above, and we're starting to hate humanity. Finally, after we're coming back from a birth mom meeting where she didn't show up, and it was a couple-hour drive. On the drive back, turned to my wife and said, "I don't know about you, but I don't want to do this anymore." And Connie said, "No, I don't either." So we were done then. And after that, did some soul searching, like what I want to do next stage in life now that we're all done with that. And really realized that I needed to get back to acting. I really missed acting, but didn't know what it was like at my age for getting back into it, what the market was like after being gone for 10 years.
Right.
So I did a paid meeting with an actor who's in LA for a couple of years now. A lot of people in Chicago are familiar with him, Chris Agos.
Yep.
Who had good parts, recurring parts on almost any show that ever shot in Chicago. And at the time, he was also he taught out of Acting Studio Chicago.
Right.
And I set up a paid meeting with him to find out the lay of the land and find out what the market's like for somebody at my age. And after the meeting, decided to jump back into it. And then I used Chris as my coach for my first several auditions to get myself back up to snuff right away, because I was rusty. I'd been out of it for quite a while.
That was a smart move.
Yeah. But one of the things that got me thinking about wanting to get back into acting is a couple of years before this, got contacted from a mother in Naperville who had a teenage daughter with LA representation. She was with one of the big top kid agents in LA, the daughter. And they wanted to not have her move out to Hollywood yet, because they didn't want her to lose her Midwestern charm and her down-to-earthness, didn't want her becoming a Hollywood brat yet. And the person that used to do their self-tapes moved. So they found me through, noodling around on the internet. And so for a couple of years, I did self-tapes for her and also coaching along the way also. And she was up for a lot of big stuff. Like Brad Pitt liked her a lot. So she was up for Moneyball and World War Z from him. She was up for Hunger Games, all kinds of stuff. So every time I filmed an audition for her and coached her on it, it's like, man, I really miss acting. So that was another thing that helped push me along back into the career here.
Cool.
Now, are you in your studio right now?
Yes, I am. So this is what you're seeing is actually green behind me. It's a green screen behind me. So I have my setup is somewhat modular. And right now I am in my Zoom setup. So I use a little different lighting, mostly because some Zoom things are on for a really long time. And my best light is not an LED light or a fluorescent light. It's the older kind, but it's a beautiful 1,000-watt soft light. So I've got two different soft boxes for my Zoom setup. Green screen behind me. And I also don't use my laptop's camera because my laptop's a little old and the camera's not that great. So it looks a little fuzzier. So my webcam is actually my iPhone. And I use a software called Camo, C-A-M-O, from a company called Reincubate. It's a little pricey, but it allows you to use your phone as your camera. You can do more white balancing with it. So if your colors are a little strange looking, you can also adjust yourself. You can zoom in a little bit, zoom out, put yourself higher in the frame. You can do a lot with it. So that's my go-to Zoom tool, is that Camo app with my iPhone.
Keith, should I show your setup now, then the first setup? We've got some photos to share here.
Sure.
Before we do that, can I ask you one thing about your backdrop, your current backdrop?
Mm-hmm.
You say you're in front of a green screen. The picture that you have behind you then, where do you get that from? Because you don't have that weird thing around your head. I sometimes see, even on the big TV shows like CNN and what have you, I'll see this, you know what I mean? It's kind of a weird,
Like a halo of sorts?
yeah, kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. Green screen is tricky. For a green screen to really work well, you have to have really good lighting. So green screen would, like if I had my lights off right now, this would still work, but it wouldn't look as good. And you might have a little bit more of a halo around it and such. But if it's lit right in Zoom and in regular video production, it looks beautiful. And so I've got a whole folder full of, depending on what mood I'm in. This is the first time I'm in this room. See on the screen. Because I thought that'd be a nice one for today.
Did you water the plant?
That's a great thing, never have to water it.
Yeah, right.
So I've got a whole different set of different backgrounds that I use both for Zoom and also for self-tapes sometimes for more moody theatrical self-tapes.
Oh, sure.
I won't just show the green background. I might actually have like a dark gray or something to get a little bit more dramatic looking.
Holy cow, already?
That was fast. We may have to make this a 2-hour session because this is very interesting,
Right.
at least to me. So what are your thoughts about if you have a green screen and you have a picture, like say, for instance, I'm auditioning for a waitress in a diner. What if I were to put my backdrop as a diner? Is that frowned on?
Yeah, I would say yes. Overall, from everything I've learned from casting directors, agents, managers, all that such, is you never want to look like you're trying too hard to please them. So like for clothing, to suggest a role, but don't go out and rent a whole cop's uniform, for example. Wear stuff that's in your closet that helps suggest the character. And the background, they don't want anything to distract them.
Yep.
So it's just mostly a solid color background that I use for any of the self-taped auditions. You know, because again, you don't want them to think that you're desperate for any kind of role and doing extra work on that end besides the acting end of things.
Okay, thanks. Sandra, let's take a look at those pictures.
Okie doke, here we go. Here's the, well, you can go ahead and explain this. Keith?
Okay, well, welcome to my basement. So you see the green screen that's behind me right now. And there's a chair in front of the microphone is how I'm sitting right now. But this is for my self-tape setup right now. So in the right corner, you can see the little blue of the flip out monitor for my camera. Yep, over there. On my left is a 20-something inch monitor for making sure focus is good and for playback for the talent. When I'm filming myself, I have that flipped around so I can see myself. But it's good to have a monitor if you can do one. The stand it's on is an adjustable. It goes up to about 5.5 feet or so. So right now I'm using it for my monitor to have the monitor at eye level, but that can be any level you want. So I shoot with a Sony Pro video camera. That's where we see the blue flip out monitor. To the right of that in the upper corner, that big black is a Loa Riffle light, which is a great big 1,000-watt soft light. In front of the camera, it's not open right now, is the laptop that is the teleprompter in there. Back, let's see, so then there's a boom mic on the stand, so that can be adjusted higher or lower for talent. It's a great idea to have an external microphone and not use the microphone on your iPhone or whatever you're using for your self-tape, because you want your microphone as close to you as possible. And using a phone's microphone, which might be 5, 6, 7 feet away from you to be able to frame you properly, you can hear you, but the audio is echoey and far away. So I like having audio up close. To the right and left of the microphone, you see two sort of gray and black objects. And those are big sound panels. They're sound absorption panels. They're about 4 inches thick and 4.5 feet high or so. And those help soak up any extra audio reverberations in the room. There's also, we don't see it in any of these photos, but in several places on the walls, I've got large sections, 3 foot by 4 feet of different acoustic panels to help absorb sound.
What about the ceiling?
Ceiling right above me for voiceover, I've got leftover. The room used to be decorated with floor to ceiling Superman memorabilia, but I needed more space for filming down here, so sold that all off a couple years ago. One thing that remains is right above me, which helps absorb, is I don't know what it was, maybe a bandana, and that's attached, not taut to the ceiling, but right above me, and that helps absorb sound reflected up there also. If I needed to, I could put sound panels up there, but that helps enough with everything else going on in the room.
Okay, here we go with this one.
Okay. All right, so this is the talent's view. If you're standing in front of the microphone, looking back towards the camera, and you see back there the laptop with the prompting software on there, and also to the left of that, the big white box is the 1,000-watt soft light.
Right.
Okay. Don't have to bring out the laptop for many people, but it's a great thing, especially, sometimes we get auditions that are due almost immediately. And especially if there are a couple of pages. I don't know about the rest of you, but it's hard to memorize a couple of pages in a couple of hours. So that's a great brain saver, using a teleprompter. And it's a nice piece of software, pretty inexpensive software called Prompt Dog. but it enables you to change the font size, change the spacing, change the color. With your arrow keys, you can control the speed. So when I'm running a teleprompter for people, I will adjust to the person speaking's rate of speech, not force them to keep up with me.
Oh, great idea.
Okay, yeah, because as actors, and this is if our viewers haven't been using a teleprompter yet and get booked for a job, a good tip is to let the operator, if they're any good, to keep up with you, not you try to keep up with the words. Because they might have it flying by, and trying to keep up with it, you sound like a big rushing mess. But if it's a good operator, they will adjust the speed to you.
I might also add that Keith is a wonderful person to have as in your script as the one who's speaking back to you. And at one point when I did a video with him, I think I said this to you. My God, they're going to want you in this shoot. All right, I'm going to stop that one, and then we have. Let's get to the last one here, and there it is, coming up. A little closer.
Yep, so you can actually see the words. And that's a pretty good size. That's bumped up a tiny bit from the default font size. What's nice too with the software is if you have the script electronically sent in a PDF or a Word document, I can copy and paste that, put into the software, so I don't have to retype the whole script from scratch, which would be a bit of a pain in the butt.
That's terrific.
Yeah, and as you can see, I think from the picture, you can see I have it pretty much up right under the lip of the lens. And with it being, that's about 7 feet or so from the speaking area. That's still large enough to be able to view clearly. And also the distance, it doesn't look like you're looking up or looking down. It looks like you're looking where you're supposed to be looking.
Right.
You know, slightly off lens there.
So
Well,
you
to say
would,
this-
if somebody had an audition and they didn't have this whole setup, could they come to your place and you would help them
Right. I was just
make it
thinking
look
that.
like a really cool audition?
Yep. Yep. I do a lot of self-tapes for people, less so during the COVID days. But now as we're all getting vaccinated, that will be opening up somewhat. So I do quite a few self-taped auditions for people. And what they get with it, if they want, they also get me as the reader, and as a coach too. Because sometimes we ourselves are so close to what we're doing, so close to the material, we don't know how it's coming off necessarily. So it's nice to have another set of eyes to say, no, you actually look angry instead of looking like you're concentrating, you look like you're angry right there. So loosen up on there, whatever kind of coaching things need to get done.
He's terrific with that too. I can attest to it.
And it's always very grateful to me when people get bookings too. So that's
Yeah, of course.
also, if it's a good tip for people too, and I do this sometimes too, if they just need a little help for the beginning of a line, they know they're going to go blank. They always go blank in the certain spot. I've also got a great big whiteboard, and can put that for just a couple of words up there if you don't need a whole teleprompter. So if you are 98% memorized, but there's a couple areas where your brain just gets caught up, and you can put those words up on the whiteboard for yourself, and that works out really well too.
Yeah, it's a really good idea for any of us doing our own. If we just had a couple keywords that would jog our memory, and then we could continue on. Good idea.
Yeah.
Can you just do a quick critique of our situations as we are currently? Now, if I were to do an audition from this area, I would take this out of here. And just do it from here.
Yeah, it looks great, and you're framed properly.
Maybe.
A lot of people have way too much headroom.
Mhm. There, now I'm centered.
Yep, that's good. The only thing, if you had room, I'd move you up forward a little bit more, because right now you're casting a little bit of a shadow behind you. That's just, for me, a technical thing.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so
I have the spotlight coming down on me. And the room lights are on. That's my only lighting currently.
yeah, lighting looks really good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. So that works for a self-tape perfectly.
All right, good. I feel confident now.
Yeah.
And Daryl is not in her normal self-tape place, but this is a good example of some things not to do lighting wise. Can you cover what may or may not be wrong or right with?
Well, I might have people hating me for this one, but I'm not a fan of ring lights.
Yeah.
Those got really popular really fast, and then got really unpopular really fast. They do an okay job lighting. Overall, they're not bright enough. A lot of them are fairly dim lights.
Right.
But the biggest issue is what they do to your eyeball.
Yeah.
They give you this alien kind of look. You've got like a round circle that happens with some ring lights. If they're close enough, your pupils pick it up, and your eyes actually look. It's not a red eye look, but you've got these like two white rings around your pupil, which looks a little freaky. So for that, I don't like them that much, and also it's not enough light in my estimation.
Keith, can you tell us your preferred placing of any softbox that we might happen to have?
Sure. Right now I'm using 2 for my Zoom setup. The one to my right they're both on a bit of an angle, so they're not just flat on me. Because what you don't want to do with lighting is wash out any depth or texture to your face. And if your light is just totally flat, you can lose detail, like lose cheekbones, lose shadow under the face. So these are both slightly angled, about like that. The one on my right is a little higher than the one on my left, just because that, for me in this setup, gives me good results. It gives just a little bit of darkness under here, so I don't look like I'm all neck, and I've got a big neck anyway, so I don't want to look like necessarily a football quarterback on things. Being left and right helps set up things also. When I'm doing the self tapes, I have lights on either corner up on stands as rim lights, or hair lights they call them, which helps separate me from the background a little bit, gives me a little bit extra pop. So I don't have that on right now for my Zoom setup, but that helps give an extra little oomph. It also helps for making a cleaner key, is what they call it in chroma keying, using the green screen. It helps separate you from the background a little bit better and makes the results of the green screen work even better.
So the softbox should come from above down over, not from below up.
Yeah, you don't want below, because that gets you scary lighting a little bit. Soft boxes are a lot nicer than if it was just like a can kind of light, a spotlight kind. If you had a spotlight under you'd get that spooky camping telling horror story kind of look, as you're holding the flashlight under your face. Yeah, so above or eye level work pretty well.
Thank you for that. Well, there we are. Time-wise, what do you think, Sandy?
Yeah, I think that you covered a lot in that short amount of time.
Indeed.
And I feel better now about my situation.
Yeah.
And I hope a lot of people learn some things that could help them in their future Zoom meetings, and if you're an actor, in your auditions, or if you're in business and you have a business meeting via Zoom, you always want to look your best there too. So thank you. Thank you for talking us through it.
My pleasure.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, everybody, Keith Kelly, and he this episode will air on Wednesday at noon, and it's on our Facebook page, which is Just Us Talk Show with Sandra Baskin, Daryl Annisfeld, and Sandy Gulliver. That and all previous episodes are listed there. So maybe if you take some time to go back and look at some of our older shows, because there's some interesting things there. And with that, should we say
Wait
hi?
Wait 1 minute. We're also on Instagram.
Oh yeah, let's talk about our Instagram page.
Right.
Sandra?
That is Just Us _ talk show.
Mhm.
And we've got quite a few followers there. And it is the link goes live in the bio sometime afternoon on Wednesdays.
Yeah, so if you're on Instagram and not on Facebook, you can still see the episode because the link to the actual episode is in the bio of our Instagram page.
And I'd like
Also-
to add that we will be adding in Keith Kelly's information in case you do need his services.
Certainly.
We'll put that underneath the episode so you will have access to him. And he can do self-tapes for you. He can do coaching for you. And he's an all-around kind of guy.
He sure is.
Also edit reels.
Superman.
Also, what, Keith?
Also edit reels.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, yes. For which
Actually,
he
I
has
should-
done some work for me, which has been fantastic.
yeah, he did my latest reel too. Sorry, I forgot to bring that up before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm very happy with it. Thank you so much for joining us, Keith. It was wonderful to have you.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Till next time.
Bye-bye.